Hey folks, this is Kalani. Welcome to the Tomb of Sargeras raid guide for normal and heroic. Let's kick it off with Goroth. This fight revolves around using the infernal spikes to avoid some of the boss abilities, while making sure other boss abilities don't destroy spikes prematurely. Periodically throughout the fight, Goroth will spawn small patches on the ground on random ranged players. After a short delay, an infernal spike will jump from the ground, dealing a large amount of damage to anyone still in the swirls. You'll want your range spread loosely throughout the room, and if you get targeted by the infernal spikes, just move to the side. The spikes will last until destroyed by one of Goroth's abilities. The first important ability which makes use of these spikes is Shattering Star. Goroth will target a random player with a huge green arrow, and after 6 seconds the boss will hurl a huge Felfire boulder at them, which will explode, dealing a large amount of raid-wide damage. You can lessen this damage by placing infernal spikes between you and the boss, so when a boulder is launched it hits one or more of the spikes before it gets to you. This means it's super important to always have a few infernal spikes up, and if you can get them relatively close together so the boulder can go through too, you can drastically reduce the damage of the Shattering Star. If the star hits a target without hitting any spikes, it will apply a damage over time effect that will basically just kill that player, so make sure you always hit at least one spike. The second ability that relies on having infernal spikes active is Infernal Burning. When Goroth reaches max energy, he will start casting Infernal Burning, which deals a huge amount of raid-wide damage when it finishes. To avoid this, you need to run behind an infernal spike to get out of line of sight of the boss. As long as you have one spike active, this ability should be very easy to deal with, so make sure you don't destroy them all with Shattering Stars. Whenever Infernal Burning goes off, it will destroy all infernal spikes left over. Keeping your spikes up can be difficult at times, as every other ability Goroth has works to destroy them. Crashing Comet targets random players with large green circles. Anyone targeted by the comets will explode within 10 yards after a short delay, and they will also burn over 16 seconds. If you get targeted by Crashing Comet, you need to move away from other players and away from infernal spikes, as any spikes caught in the explosion will be destroyed. Your healers should be on their toes to keep these players alive from the damage over time. The tanks also have an ability to deal with called Burning Armor. They'll take a large amount of damage over 6 seconds and have a huge 25-yard green circle around them. When the debuff expires, they'll explode for a large amount of damage which hits everyone in the green circle and applies a debuff called Melted Armor to them. Melted Armor increases the damage you take by 200%, so you'll want to perform a tank swap every time this mechanic goes out, and the tank with the debuff then needs to run far away from the raid so no one else is within their green circle. The explosion will also destroy any infernal spikes, so make sure to avoid both players and infernal spikes when you're moving out. On Heroic mode, you will also have to deal with Fel Eruption. The edges of the room will bubble up and start spewing fel fire on 1/4 of the room. You can have multiple areas of the room coated in fire at the same time, so be sure to stand somewhere safe. This also increases the importance of spreading out your infernal spikes, as the fel fire will also destroy any spikes in the area where it's landing. The last thing to mention is that you want to keep Goroth static as much as possible. This is because Goroth can destroy any infernal spikes that are near him simply by walking through them. You can usually tank Goroth between two of the fiery edges, keeping him on the outer areas of the room. If you ever need to move Goroth due to Fel Eruptions, be sure to take him around the outside to keep your spikes safe. And that's it. That should be all you need to take down Goroth on normal and heroic. If you have any questions or queries, please leave them in the comment section below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Or hop on over to Discord. We have a server at discord.gg/Kalani. Great place to come ask questions or just hang out. Remember to leave a like just below the video before you leave. If you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. But apart from that, thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always I will see you next time.